Okay, welcome. This is the Dayton Historical Commission meeting on March 12th. We're here at Old Town Hall, the hybrid meeting, and it will be recorded and shown later on Dayton's YouTube channel. The listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. Okay, and we're called to order. During the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And we're all here tonight. Very good. Awesome. Secretary's report. The minutes of February 20th. Just had a couple of changes, Radha. The balance of our budget was $579.09. And our next meeting date, March 12th, is no, that's right, Pat. Yeah. Is that 6? Never mind me. I was, you know what I was doing? I was doing our working committee. So just one change. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of February 20th, 2024 as amended.
I'll approve the minutes as amended, the minutes for February 20th, 2024.
Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay. The minutes for February 22nd, 2024. Lots of 20s in that.
Was there a copy of the minutes? Because when I went, all I got was just the.
That's his minutes.
Oh.
That was it.
Okay.
But you want to word for word?
No, but I thought the other one's word for word. The question
That was good.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought I missed something.
Those
She was doing her due diligence. Wow.
I'd like to hear that more at a committee. That's great.
Short and sweet, right, Rafa?
Exactly.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of February 22nd, 2024?
I will approve the minutes for February 22nd, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And for the record, I am reading the minutes off my phone, so anybody's wondering. Thank you. There you go.
Okay, moving on to the budget, our balance is still the same as last month right now, $579.09 on invoices. So I get this really surprising email from BP saying that we have an invoice and owe them a balance of $38.
What?
We're still what?
So I call up the accounting office, the woman that sends the email in April, and I said, I am so shocked that we have an invoice for $38. And she says, oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, you do. I said, well, I asked for an invoice and I got a statement that said 0 and we never heard any more. So what happens is the instructors have to generate the invoice. So they started it and then it sat in drafts for almost a year.
Oh, come on.
So she went looking, to clear out the draft section and found it from 2023 and said, what's this? And I'm like, oh, guess we didn't do that one. So of course they had to generate it because they did the work.
Oh, okay.
So we have an invoice for $38 from them. So then I called her back and I went and talked to Serena. And she said, yeah, we can pay it out of prior year's bills. And not a problem, it just goes on the warrant at the annual town meeting. So I called April up again and I said, yeah, oh, we're all set, but you're gonna have to wait for your money because it has to go to prior year's bills. And she's like, that's fine. So that's story.
I'm gonna say statute of limitations on that.
Yeah, I know.
$30 in 2023.
$32 from April, it was April 27th, 2023 that I asked for the invoice. I get this little message that says I sent the bill and they sent me the portal and everything, and they're 000, nothing else.
So this is before I joined, but
So-
I thought that was all, so it wasn't all volunteer work for the, is it for the James Briggs sign, right? I would imagine.
Yeah.
So it wasn't all volunteer
That's for the
donation?
materials that they.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
There's not their fault.
No, it's not our fault. And April apologized over and
But
over.
clearly they didn't miss it if they didn't notice until they were cleaning it out.
What's the statute of limitation though?
Good thing there's no interest.
6
Yeah.
months. That's it.
Would have been $138.
I don't know what their policy is, but I guess it happens all the time because Serena was like, yeah, we'll just put it in for your bills.
That's gonna be under a record, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
it'll kind of look like a black mark. Oh, what did the historical commission?
Yeah, I read
So
that.
we're gonna explain when it comes up.
Could you imagine the town
Bills.
meeting for the morning? What?
No, usually prior your bills, they just go right
It's
through.
going, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
there's
So something like that. they
a
would-
second, they just go.
Yeah, they don't look at.
Oh, right, yeah, I guess- yeah, you do know about that one, yeah.
So,
There has been times when people have questioned prior year's bills.
Yeah.
yeah,
Cause you almost, I mean, if it was a higher amount, you always wanna be like, so where, why, where'd that come from?
If it's a high amount, yeah.
If it was $2,000 bucks, it'd be like,
$30,000. Why not $30,000?
yeah, right.
so, you
Oh,
know,
that's fine.
so anyway, Ralph and Pat, if you don't mind just signing and dating both of these. I don't have an account number yet, because it'll be like a separate account, but Serena will take care of it once I hand her that paperwork.
You're right.
Yeah, right, on there, and then just on the invoice, then we're all set. I was like, are you kidding me?
You can't make that up.
What's the date?
No.
Today's the 12th.
So in the other way I looked at it, we had money left in our budget, so really we're just taking our money back. All right. So our FY '25 budget is in, and our meeting is scheduled for, with the Finance Committee on March 28th at 7:50 PM. So I will be going to that, and anyone is welcome to join me.
So we won't be
That's
having,
the Thursday. We could still meet on the 28th for our working committee. If we want to change that, we can change.
Oh,
it.
that, you guys picked the next
Yeah.
meeting. I know, I'm so bummed I missed that last one, like, I was really excited to go, Mom was like, I got us tickets for that show, and I was like, what they should, I'm like, oh. It's like, I was like, okay.
So, because I'll just leave like at 7:30 or so to come over and
Is it here or the police station?
at the police
Okay.
station. Because there's no meeting space in March in any of these buildings with the finance committee meeting,
Oh, sure,
because they're meeting at
that's fine,
prime
because
time.
that, I mean, I don't know how it works, the second night, but that, yeah, music was great the first night that we did it.
Is that date agreeable to everyone? Okay. So all of those we can meet, and then we can all go to the finance committee meeting.
We can all go without it being,
Sounds like fun.
Yeah,
just
just,
not without being, a meeting for us,
We're
like.
not gonna talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Mom.
Unless you want to present the budget.
Nah.
I just asked them a couple of questions, and ours is level, level funded, so. But it is a whole different finance committee, so they may have some questions.
Yeah.
All right, any questions on budgets? Time capsule, anything on the time capsule? No,
Nothing new.
okay.
I do have some-
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys give me a couple of things. So I know Ron O'Connor, he's gonna give us a couple of pictures. One's gonna be the old bridge
Yeah.
that we had down there in the red and white market.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd send something to you guys if you have other areas you want pictures from. Or should we just take Ron's good judgment and just whatever he wants to give us? That's it. And I stated to him there should be slides, so they could just, pictures all set to go.
I mean, Ron knows what he has for historical pictures, because he's done a lot of
Hmm.
around town. So whatever he feels is appropriate, I think it's fine.
Okay,
Did you end up contacting the person from Somerset?
No, I ran out of time.
So you forgot about me.
Huh?
You forgot about me. He was gonna give me a call. Was it that, John Anderson, Larson?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He never called
He
you?
never called me back about the sign or anything.
Yeah.
and the other thing I have too, we have I believe a terabyte drive that we can use for when we start this project up. And the other update is I'm trying to think of the name of the room again. The studio is almost ready. We're getting training on it Thursday from the vendor.
I'm gonna ask.
And then hopefully next week we start using it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's looking nice and then we get all new equipment,
Yeah.
you know.
Was you there with
That worked perfectly with, especially with the release form that I'll mention when we get to, but that's gonna be working out
Okay.
perfect.
That's good.
And I'll keep you updated with that. So hopefully Thursday will be great, be no issues with the equipment and then we can start moving along.
Okay. All right, Zach, preserving memories of Dayton?
Yes, so if you wanna go to your email, Pat, I emailed you, the release form with my edits, according to Mike. Mike did get my email, he hasn't looked at it yet, and I said, I understand you probably have a lot of other important things going on right now in the town. But he did get the email, so if you wanna, so this is, the edits that I did are with what he said. So if you wanna pull it up on this, I have, so I can read it to you, but I sent you a copy of what I sent him, if you wanna show the board, if you feel comfortable making a motion based on his approval, but I don't see any major changes because what I put in there is what he told me to edit. So I mean, I don't think he's gonna look at this again and say, whoa, no, change it. I added what he wanted me to add, but
Right,
this one is what is tailored based on the conversation I had with him and more specific to us, but at least it's in a form now that fits our needs. I can have it right here, or if you want to put it on the screen, but
well, I have to download the Zoom thing, so, let's see here.
and I can certainly go over the why we added what we added.
What time was that sent today or yesterday?
Oh, I sent this to Pat today.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I had met with Mike last, the month, it was before this meeting.
Oh, okay.
And so like I said, my dad was talking to him on the phone today, I said, just ask Mike if he got it, and Mike said, yes, I did get your email, but I said, I'm sure this got all that. I sent an email, I know you have other things going on right now, but I just wanted to make sure that he at least got it, and he said he did get it.
I got it. Yeah. I can just read it. So this is the release form.
Yeah, so this is the release form for the people that we interviewed that would sign and date and everything, check all these boxes off prior to the interview taking place. And it was based on wording that was a compilation of all the ones that I have seen throughout the research and with what he knows from his experience that he wanted us to include based on what he knew the town could stand by. So he did not feel the need to send this to a third party legal counsel. He felt more than comfortable with what we had already discussed, that what we have should be fine.
I'm gonna forward it to. I'm just gonna take forever.
Do you want me to start reading it?
Yeah, just read it.
Okay, so I have the mission of the Dayton Historical Commission, and then in parentheses, DHC, just for the shortening of writing, Oral History Project, Preserving Memories of Dayton, is to document the history of the town of Dayton. The most major part of our efforts is to collect oral histories through and by conducting interviews with longtime and/or lifelong residents of the town. We sincerely thank you for participating in our project. Please sign below indicating your permission to release all or parts of your interview for future use. Before signing, please read thoroughly and ask any questions you may have about our terms and conditions. And then the following things I've listed are all bulleted, and I'll go over each one. So the first one says, I have read and understood the description of the project listed above, and I voluntarily agree to be interviewed for preserving memories of Dayton. 2, I understand that I will not be paid for participation in this project, nor will it cost me anything to participate. 3, I am in full understanding that my interview may be distributed to the public for educational and entertainment purposes, and that any recordings or transcripts will become part of historical record that will become part of the collections and archives of the town of Dayton and its historical commission, where they will be stored indefinitely on a computer server and or digitally cloud storage in perpetuity. 4, I allow this interview excerpts or in its entirety to be distributed, published, posted by the following mediums. Please check all that apply: audio, video, electronic print, and then in parentheses, that includes the town website and or social media. Next bullet point, I agree and understand the final edited version of this interview may be posted by the DHC with or without my prior reading, listening, or viewing. In turn, I also understand that to create this project, good faith editing may occur as a result, and therefore grant the DHC the right to quote/paraphrase all or any portion of the interview materials. I understand by checking this line item, I waive any right to inspect or improve materials prior to the release/distribution. And the last line item, I hereby release claims and identification to the town of Dayton, its historical commission, and its volunteers, the interview materials provided, including my experiences, recollections, as well as any photographs or documents I may have provided. By doing so, I also understand that I have no copyright or other rights in this work. And there's a line for the signature and date for the interviewee, and Mike suggested also a witness just in case, especially if you have someone who's elderly who, the example he gave was if someone's talking about, oh, we own 6 acres of a farm, and then God forbid down, like, we didn't know she had that. And so he's like, we have, if they feel the need to have a witness there to attest to everything, we could put that, but he did say that line item was optional, not for us to put in, but optional for the person being interviewed if they wanted to have a witness, but. So he's good. Felt like that kind of covered everything in it.
I was wondering about, what about permission to use your image? Like, if you want to use a real person.
So that's why we included the part about the audio and video, and then also the line about photographs or documents I may have provided. So it's like if I'm sitting down with someone and they say, yes, take my picture, it's like, and they sign and date that, that's them saying, yes, I'm letting you do that. But I just want to give them the audio, visual, and electronic print. If someone might say, hey, if you want to post the audio recording of our thing, but I don't want my picture, they can check off just audio and not check off the other two, but still go along with the project, but they're signing, I'm letting you publish anything with my audio, but I don't want X, Y, and Z. It gives me the option. So it's not like you have to do all of them. It gives them the option to check off which ones they feel comfortable doing. And to me, the biggest part was also making sure the whole, Mike and I were about the whole paraphrasing part, because if someone goes on in a natural conversation, go off on a tangent, I don't want someone to say, you edited that. It's like, well, I wasn't going to type up everything about our talk about, summer camp in Maine. It was great that we had it, but I wanted them to know it wasn't going to be ways to manipulate it, but in good faith, we can't have necessarily every word that's said posted. But like I said, considering the nature of this project, I think people are going to understand that it's not like we're doing a political smear campaign and I'm going to take bits of what you say to make you say something else.
Yeah.
I think they'll understand that if I edit off, sorry, I didn't mention the part of you working in Taunton for 7 years. But also that's not what we're.
Someone who does that magnificently.
What's that?
Editing?
Spinning. And that person is no longer here.
I mean, so I said, I don't know if you feel like you want to wait until we hear back from Mike, but I mean, like I said, I didn't include anything different in that. What I read to you is a lot of it, I already had something that I didn't, and Mike suggested that we added. So I don't foresee him coming back and saying, wait, no, we're going to redo this. I would, maybe it's a spelling error that I guess I missed, but I don't see it content wise. I don't see anything changing from what him and I said. How did that look to you, Pat? Do you feel there's anything glaring there I missed, or?
No, I think it's fine.
I'm excited now. If we have the studio going and this going, that's really all that we needed to. The reason why we couldn't do this yet were those aspects. So.
It just has to be what the DOC, the DHC
Did I put DOC?
Yeah.
Oh.
Department of Corrections.
I didn't tell you that they're gonna be there forever. So we'll make a note to teach.
Anyone have any comments or concerns?
Is there any aspect?
Yeah,
Any aspects you guys feel like I missed or anything? Good.
Excellent job.
The
yeah.
law is legally binding, but should they choose to sue or?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. And that's kind of the biggest thing for me, Michael. I mean, do you feel the needs to go to legal? And he said, no, based on what we're doing and what we're talking about, I feel like this is, and so at that point, we're trusting his, and I have no reason to not trust his word on that aspect. So I don't foresee this not becoming legally binding in terms, as far as the town is concerned. But I think I pretty much covered all the bases there, people being able to pick and choose what they want.
Because I was just wondering what their, their grandchildren or future other relatives, contesting.
And that's actually why Mike did mention the whole thing from the witness part. That hadn't even occurred to me, but that's kind of why I also reached out to him. Because I mean, like he had that insight, he's like, I'm not foreseeing that happening, but what
But
if
you never
someone,
know, yeah.
what if someone mentions about owning property? I didn't know grandma owned that property. Who did that property go to? And like, so God forbid that ever happens, at least, we can have someone that's attesting to it. And whatever, I mean, it's,
Yeah, so they
Doesn't matter to me.
really have a sound mind to be able to
Yeah.
understand everything.
Right.
Yeah.
but again,
I
we'll
think
have-
it's basic enough that most people would understand.
Mm.
Right.
I think if they had any questions,
That's-
they could always ask.
And right, and that's why I made sure I put the line there about like ask any questions before you sign it. So if you feel like I don't know what that means, I'm not gonna gotcha, you signed it. Like I'd rather than say I don't know why.
I'm gonna take some time to go through it too.
Oh, beforehand, absolutely. Oh, yeah, I'm not gonna just send it electronically and say, sign this electronically and send it back. I mean, my plan was to hopefully in person.
Yeah.
With a witness.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So, I would say we could do a motion to approve this form pending, Mike's final, approval, that it's good to go.
Yeah.
Good motion, okay.
Are you making a motion or are you, entertaining a motion?
Entertaining that motion.
Okay, so I'll make the motion that we approve the release form for the preserving memories of Dayton pending the town administrator's final comments for editing, should there be any.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Passes, thank you. Okay, that's a big step.
It's a huge step, and hearing that about the studio, I mean,
Yeah, it's all coming together.
Yeah.
So we have that and we have a list of people to start with.
yeah, and like I said, I had already been given names, and now that at least I'm not gonna be reaching out and saying, okay, I'll let you know in a month when we're ready.
Right.
Now it can pretty much be amazing students next week. I mean, we don't wanna rush you guys, but I mean, it could be as early as next week or, so
I
hopefully.
think probably once we get the training 2 weeks out, we should be ready to go. And if it looks like everything's going well, I'll shoot an email early before we meet again and say, hey, we're doing a lot better. Let's scheduling people. Who's on the top 3 on that list? Just wondering.
I mean, I didn't have a certain,
Oh, okay.
I didn't have it in order
Oh,
per
okay.
se. I mean, I think Mrs. Perry certainly would be one.
That's a good one. And probably,
Myrna was up there, your husband, I think, he was definitely one that was, those are the 3 that first came to mind. I mean, I don't want to sound like I had one prioritized or another,
Yeah.
but if I decided right now who to contact, I think it would be those 3.
The
okay.
only days
Personally?
I wouldn't do would be Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay. Which doesn't matter to me at all.
Well, if you, pick the date or whatever, those are the only 2 days. that you-
That don't bother asking what those dates
Yeah,
now.
we can do dialysis.
Oh,
Do you think do you know what format he?
I already
doing?
told him.
Yeah, she told.
Oh, you told him what he was doing, or you told him
No,
the
I
options
told
were?
him he was being offered as an oral historian.
And does he feel okay?
You like that?
Yeah, he seemed to be okay. I think he probably would be pleased.
Does he want to do you know if he want to do camera, not camera? How he feels about that? I mean, it doesn't matter to me either way.
I don't think it's any difference to him.
I mean, if you wanted video, I think that would be really cool. But I mean, obviously, if he didn't, I don't want him to be persuaded to not do it because they're not doing video. But I mean, whoever the studio is able to handle at the time.
Yeah, we should be fine, and we still got this as a backup too, if we need
Right.
it. We can record it here. And so,
Oh, true.
Yeah, and it's a little more echoey and big, but
if we have to, we're behind or something's going on with cable, we can, start using this too.
okay.
But if, this would be more like for, audio and video if possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm really,
so
I'm excited to do it, really.
By
am.
next month, we should have at least contacts and stuff. for
I hope
people to
so.
interview.
I
Okay.
hope so, yeah.
All right, I'll put it on the agenda again. All
Yeah.
right, the walking tour, my fault, I had just ran out of time to reach out to the guy at the yacht club, but I will do that and get it.
Okay,
The other thing that I thought we should add to that
Mhm.
is a reminder that the properties are all private. And
Oh.
not to go
good
and
idea.
transfer, trespass onto the property.
On the quote unquote back side, I thought it would be cool if there was anything to include about future or upcoming events for the historical commission. Can you think of anything that would be not worthy, ready enough to put on there? It's okay if you don't yet, I just thought it was, I'm just gonna throw that out there, because the back panel
Enough space.
probably won't really need to have any kind of pertinent information regarding the actual tour, but kind of like a check what's coming up soon kind of thing. I just didn't know if you could think of anything.
Put like the Preserving Memories program on it, the oral history. It's gonna be the pamphlet says they contact,
Yeah. I just, while we're on that topic, the Google Drive account.
Yeah.
So I set it up, everything's all loaded in there, went on today to print out the pamphlet, and it said the account was disabled, temporarily disabled due to inactivity, because I had opened it up, but I hadn't touched it for a while. So when Google sees that for a new account, they just automatically temporarily disable it, thinking that people set things up and don't use it. So I challenged it, we appealed it, is what I'm allowed to, what you do, like appeal, a little heavy duty, but basically I just sent an email saying, hey, still intend to use it. I told him why I was using it, I said, please open up this account back up, and it said within 2 days, we'll hear back, but I mean, so if you want the information for it, it's Dayton Historical Commission, fully, so Dayton, all lowercase, Dayton Historical Commission @gmail.com. And the password, as of right now,
you
assuming
don't
I
wanna give that.
don't want to give that on the air. I mean, no, but I will tell you the password.
Good call, good call.
I will, for the record, I will be sharing the password.
Can you whisper it?
I will be, for the record, I'll be sharing the password with the board privately, but I will be sharing the password with them once. I give them.
Okay.
Great, Zach, I need a new password.
Okay, all right,
But there is a password that I have that's gonna be easy for us to
okay.
use, so.
Great.
The one thing to not do is publicly share your password. I was like, hey, Todd, guess what I have for you guys?
See them all trying to go in right now.
Alarms going off all through town.
Everybody's watching us right now anyway.
No, but
You
when they
never
watch it-
know.
when
If
they
you were
watch
watching,
it on-
you would have changed the password by then.
Yeah,
So.
But I like the one that I think that's very appropriate for us. I
okay,
want to change it.
all right, new business, annual report, did everyone get a chance to
Yes.
review it? Any edits, changes?
Very
Very good.
Yeah, I thought it was great, actually. I think it's one of the better ones that I've read
Thank
for
you.
some of the boards.
Okay. Motion to approve the historical commission annual report for submission to the town report.
I'll make the motion that we approve the annual report for the historical commission as written for the 2023, right?
Mm-hmm.
Annual report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions, that passes. Good, thank you, and I will submit that to Leanne tomorrow.
So it was 2 pages, I was like, wow, this is actually one that's gonna be, because some of them you're like. Really,
Yeah,
that's
I
it,
know,
like, some boards then again don't necessarily, like, I mean, for zoning, we really don't need to have one in depth.
Yeah.
But like some boards, you kind of thought, that's all you guys got, but this was actually great, I thought a very good one.
Thank you. All right. Conservation planning, our working committee for survey forms and our recommendations. So at our last meeting, we went through the Mount Hope Finishing Company area form. I keep reading it and finding new information from it, you know, it's just
Rabbit hole.
amazing. It is a rabbit hole. And then I compared it to the old one that's on the 2003 one, you know, and between the two, there's so much information. And you can see when you compare the two, the pieces that have already disappeared,
Really?
like the traffic.
Yeah, the dump car.
Yeah.
They talked for a while,
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah, you know, so,
How did the last meeting go?
good,
Good.
you know, we went through, you get a little mind boggled, you know.
Yeah,
And we figure the next meeting, we'll do the Lincoln Avenue and School Street, and there's a couple of house forms.
that's what we had, next one down.
Yeah, to look at. So basically, we looked at it to see why we want to say that this Mount Hope area is locally significant. So using our demolition delay bylaw, I kind of made up my little cheat sheet. And I was gonna share it with everyone, and I ran out of time last night, and I said, then I was finished it this afternoon, I said, oh, if I email it now, I'm not like Zach, and email it like at 6.
I know what you're talking about.
So, the age of it is, you know, circa 1840 to 1951, the area. It's not on the National Register of Historic Places, and I don't think it's even eligible for listing yet. I think in the 2003 form, they said that further information was needed in order for it to be considered, you know. So it is historically and or architecturally important because of the styles of the patriarchal factory village. It's associated with the architects, Olmsted Brothers Landscape Architects were involved. Joseph Darling and Son from Fall River, and Kilham and Hopkins. And I think they were probably up from around the Beverly area, I'm not sure. So the context is, of course, as we know, plays an important role in the history of Dayton. J.K. Milliken purchased the buildings. Mount Hope existed in North Dayton forever through 1951. And by creating this industrial plant in town, it was under the philanthropic paternalism. And it's one of the better models of factory company towns in the United States. He built a clubhouse, theater, a fire station, a hospital, a recreation room, and plus the housing for employees. And the impact that Mount Hope had on the economic growth in Dayton and the social development is huge. So that's why it should be locally significant in a nutshell.
That's right.
There are some mistakes in this packet. Did anyone address them at your other meeting that you had?
There are some mistakes, so what did you find?
Page 37, the bottom left-hand side picture. It
Yeah.
says view looking northwest toward rear elevation of, it's Spring Street, not School Street.
Okay, yeah, and
And
there's,
697 Spring Street, not School Street. So that's that one. And then the picture right across from it, it says view looking north toward Chase Street from Prospect Street. The thing says 221 Summer, it's 212 Summer, it's not 221. Okay, and page 42, the top right picture, it says view looking west toward 264 School Street. It's not School Street, it's Bedford Street.
yeah, I saw
And
that one.
260 Bedford Street and 254 Bedford Street.
What building was the theater? Is one still there?
Is that the same thing as the bowling alley?
It might be the same one as the bowling alley, yeah.
And I thought it was that white building, if you're coming up off of 138. You see
I'd have
that
to look
white
at the
building?
Picture, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There was another one too where they called it, Prospect Street, or it's really School Street or in there too, that I saw.
I just figured if you want to get it corrected
Yeah.
before.
The labeling of the pictures. So, all right, we can, do that.
I know it wasn't at that last meeting, but based on the meeting before that, what we hope to achieve at the meeting that I wasn't at, that sounds perfect, what you guys come up with. That's like, I think spot on what we were hoping to achieve.
Mhm. And, we also talked about, doing a walk in the spring, or the commission, just to walk the streets to
Yeah.
see which houses are which and what they look like now, because like you kind of know where they are, and like I know where some are, and you know where some are.
Oh, so not a tour, you meant amongst the board, oh,
amongst
okay,
the
gotcha,
board,
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, just so that
Yeah.
we're more familiar with it.
That's a really good idea.
Because it's kind of hard to drive down the street and look at the houses at the same time.
Especially if some crazy driver like hitching up to your bumper.
Remember when I was learning to drive? And I was learning to drive and my dad was in the front seat, he'd be like, wow, I get to finally look around, like, but I'm so busy driving all the time, and now I get to like actually look at stuff, because you can't do that while you're driving.
Stop and smell the rooms.
Right. People do get a little aggravated when you're driving along and you kind of like.
I know.
Oh,
Are you tourists or what?
so when the weather is a little bit nicer, we can, figure out what to do that.
Have you thought about a walking tour for that district eventually? Not district, but even, I mean, I don't know if you, would want to, or like you have to wait until it's registered, but even still,
It was
totally
designed to
walkable.
Yeah, it's just, taking the time to get it together.
Oh, yeah, but I just don't know if that's something you had even thought about, or,
No, but we certainly do that.
that'd be cool.
Um,
That would be fun. Then we can have a picnic by the Veterans Plaza Park by the river. That'd be cool.
oh, I thought you were entertaining it. You're
Yeah, sure. Well, that one too.
We're gonna watch your house,
Depending on the weather.
we're gonna watch your hustler?
Can be in my house.
So, okay, does anyone have anything to add about?
so you can't put this on the National Register right now? Or,
Oh, I did send the
That's good.
request through to the Mass Historical
Oh, okay.
Commission, asking them to evaluate the area form for the National Register of Historic Places. So what they'll do now is they come back and say yes or no. If they say yes, then that's another one, like the brick area would be on the list of possibly starting the process for the National Register, which is a huge endeavor within itself.
I know, remember that first working session we were talking about, it, you were kind of specifying, it's not that, except that it's like, is it a possibility to be considered? It's almost like, so wait, it's not being considered, it's a possibility to be considered, so it's almost
So
like.
that's like a yes or no, like there, that first step,
Right.
the first step, yeah.
So I should have an answer from the Mass Historical Commission, for the April meeting.
Oh, that's good. I think that shows.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see what they,
I can't think of any good reason why they should deny it.
well, look at what they did about the brick.
I think,
But at least those, they provided some reasons as to why, like, I hope if they say no, hopefully they do as good a job as the other two saying why not. Because then it's like, okay, you tell us no, but like, what do we do to fix it? Like, is it a no because like, hey, don't even bother trying again? Or is it a no, but just do these things and you're good? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I hope if, should it be denial? I hope they at least tell us why.
it could be something to make the district smaller.
Right. Yeah.
There are some things that we can't change, like half the, plant is now missing.
Right, it's like, so you can't rebuild that. I mean, you can't,
Build that.
that's not a fixable thing.
And I also did reach out to Stacy, and she's gonna get some information on, the architectural neighborhood district.
Oh, good,
concepts.
okay, I was hoping that'd be the case.
Yeah, and also some local historic districts, so we have information about possibly, some alternatives,
Cool.
for preservation.
Cool.
So, but this is the first step, and it just kind of just says to us and to the town that this is important to us. To say that it's locally significant. And if anything came through, like it needed CPC funding for whatever, it's kind of not, because it's not town owned, it's not nonprofit. But I think it's still important to do.
And I think it's a popular enough area amongst the residents that should anything need to go before them for a vote or any kind of help us gather some enthusiasm, I think it's probably the most likely of the areas of town where we would get a lot of people that can make a difference. Not that breaking other areas wouldn't be, but you might get only 4 or 5 people who are willing to help out, as opposed to that area with how congested it is literally and figuratively. And the history there, and the people who live there, I think, from what I understand, are very passionate about that area specifically. I think that's like, if we needed to get tons of people on our side, I think that's the biggest area that we're gonna get that from. Is just how I feel, but I mean,
Like, we should also consider having like a neighborhood meeting, with the people from the Mount Hope area and, and the people that live in the employee houses to kind of like talk about it with them and what they say. I think it's very important to have that communication.
would our walk as a board, again, not the tour part, but as a board, would that be a posted meeting that we would invite the residents to attend, or would you feel that would be after we do that?
Well, if we're all together, I think it has to be a meeting, you'll have to be.
But any kind of neighborhood conversations you
It'll
think,
be posted.
I think that would be after we do that, you think, probably?
Yeah, so we know what houses we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was just to see, give
It's more
ourselves
to get our bearings kind
like
of.
a walking thing rather than like Pat says, drive by. I'm kind of like, oh, okay,
And that's what I felt like too, like for the first meeting that we had, it was helpful to have the Google Earth images alongside the physical maps, because like, what are you talking about? And then you can see, oh, that's what we're talking about. You get more of like, oh, now I know what side you're talking about, as opposed to just like, look at this and pretend you're here, stand here, and can you visualize it that way? Having more of an in-person, like, oh, that's the one you're talking about.
And also, at the last meeting, I had up the GIS maps.
Mhm.
And those help because that gives you the location, so like you can see the driveways that go behind the houses.
Oh, that's true.
So you
Yeah.
can see how the land is now, how it exists now. And still, still way back then. So between like Google Earth, the GIS maps, you get a pretty good idea, but it's nothing like the personal look. So, okay. So I'll entertain a motion to identify the Mount Hope Finishing Company area as locally significant in the history, architect, and culture in the town of Dayton.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No abstentions? Very good, thank you. I think that's good. I feel like we're making progress.
I was gonna say, there's a lot of big things that are getting going.
So our next working committee meeting, like we talked about, is the 28th at 6.
6.
At 6 p.m. Yep, we'll have to end around 7:30, so
All
for the
right.
finance committee meeting, and we'll review the rest of the North Dayton forms. And even, Mount Hope, I'm sure will come up again too for discussion.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Pat, for those edits too. Okay. The application for eligibility to the CPC, I worked on that and I did send that to everyone. So I did a little cut and paste so we could read the project summary nicely, because I don't have the PDF Acrobat thing where you can type into PDF,
Just to, type and fill it in.
yeah, the pro, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna bother with you because that costs you money.
Yeah, it's expensive too. I thought of getting it for myself, I know for the time, I'm like, that's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's outrageous.
So I just did a little cut and paste. So, does anyone have any questions? Is it good to go?
I think so.
Looks good, I'm reading it now.
So what we'll be asking for is, for the 10 properties at $350 for $3,500. I'm surprised they didn't want the money there, but.
Me too, I wasn't asked that.
Yeah.
Why, not that anything against how it was prepared, but why that wasn't on there to begin with on their part, but
Yeah, it says a brief description of the project,
yeah. Unless they assume, well, they can't assume that someone would know to put that in there. If they wanted it, would have thought they would have put a big line item saying, how much money do you
Yeah,
want?
and, their next, so they're, at the CPC meeting, they'll review this and then they make a determination, and then they have the bigger, application to fill out where all the money pieces into it.
The more I think about it, the more I am more excited about us doing the West Dayton idea. When you had mentioned at the last meeting, the more I thought about it after, I was like, I'm really glad that we thought of that.
I could add, just to be sure, I could add the funding, the total amount in here. The financial piece.
Do you feel like they would deny it because that's like not in there? Like,
No, I just think it would give them more
Oh,
information.
oh, okay.
But you're there anyway.
Yeah, I'm there.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So, okay. I'll write it in if I have to.
And then,
Okay, a motion to approve the application of eligibility for the community-wide historic properties survey 2024-2025 for submission to the CPC. So, there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And no one's opposed? Okay, now I'll send that to Kevin. All right, historical marker program, Rafa?
Well, I emailed Paul Pacheco last week, he hasn't replied, and what's up with your father? Is he still?
I asked him today, if he did give it to Paul. So Paul has the one that we asked my dad if he knew, if I asked my dad if he knew what Paul was going to do to the one that we gave him. And he said Paul didn't mention it, but he did say that Paul understands that whatever we do going forward, he wants to keep in that same, we want to keep in that same format. So what he's gonna do, if anything, to the one that we gave him to make it more preserved, he didn't say exactly what he would do, but he understands that that's something that we were looking for. He did not give a price, and my dad said he doesn't foresee it being anything out, probably close to what they paid the first time around, but Paul does, so I'm not sure when you talked to Paul versus when my dad did,
I
but
haven't spoken to him, yes, reach out to me.
but I know, but my dad said that Paul does have it, and he did talk to him about it, so
Is there any way that Paul can contact me directly?
I don't see why not. I mean, I
I don't know his phone number, I don't know where he lives.
And I don't know if there's a separate number for like his work versus his personal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He gave me his government address, email.
Oh, okay.
I
But I don't know how
can give you
often
like his,
he uses
telephone number or.
Do they have a separate business phone number? Do you know?
Where is this business located?
Ben Williams.
I was gonna ask, like, is it?
Willow Street.
I forget my number.
I don't know.
What is his business name?
Something.
I don't know.
American something?
American Sign Makers?
That's close. Yeah, I think
Look at
that.
that.
Yeah, let me talk to my sister.
It's in the DDIC directory.
All right, so you have to, right?
We'll get it to you.
No rush.
Okay. All right. My next item is priorities of historical buildings. And I put this on because I'm thinking about the segregated schoolhouse. We have the Smith Memorial Hall, we have Old Town Hall, we have the Carnegie Building, and the North Dayton Fire Station. And actually, the South Dayton Fire Station is 60 years old, 64 years old.
Wow.
It was built in 1960. So all of these buildings have needs of preservation, rehab, maintenance. And all of them are going to be kind of looking at the same funding sources. So I was like, well, what's most important? Which buildings are most important? What do we think we need to do for these buildings or with these buildings? What are our priorities, for the buildings? Everyone says, oh, well, CPC has historical funding, and we'll just go to CPC for the funding. Well, that's only X amount of dollars after a while too. So, and CPC will be looking at it in the same vein. What are the priorities, for the town and for, preservation? So, thoughts? I know we have to segregate the schoolhouse.
Do we take the oldest building?
That I was gonna do is start with age,
Yeah, and go from
but I
there.
mean,
Segregated schoolhouse.
in this case, yes, I would say, does age automatically mean in the most need. I think in this case it does, but not necessarily always the case, right? I don't know, I don't know.
Or is it use of the building, is how much would it take to keep the building in use? For example, Smith Memorial Hall being rehabbed, you know, it's almost to the point where it's gonna be usable.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
2025.
Right,
Early
yeah.
2025,
Right.
it's gonna be usable.
What about the library that they're leaving? Is that on that list too?
That's the
The
Carnegie building.
Carnegie
It's the
building.
Carnegie building.
That's a kind of, okay.
That's a Carnegie building, and,
I mean, that has a lot of history and
it
character
has a
to
lot
it.
of history, and it's actually, you know, with some rehab, usable quickly.
And
In a sense, quickly, you know, not that anything is ever quick.
Yeah, structure's
And-
good.
The structure's good, they did an HVAC system in there.
I forget when we talked about it, if it was at the first working session or a regular meeting where, or it might have been based off Martin's letter, I forget exactly when this all came into play, but it's almost like we couldn't do too much with that until it was officially not being used, right?
Right,
So we do have, so that one we can't, even if that was our number one priority, we really can't do anything, we can't do anything.
go.
On our end, we can't do
Yeah.
anything with it until it's no longer being used as
which
one.
is gonna be
On-
early 2025,
Right.
which is,
So now the question is, do we save, pun intended and not, like literally, do we save any resources until then, or do we do stuff in the meantime, but then risk by the time we're ready to do that, where our resources be at that point? That's a tough one.
so, and we talk about the segregated schoolhouse,
Across the street.
across the street, it's sitting there. We have a goal, what we would like to see it be, but in reality, the money that we need to be able to make it to be a museum doesn't exist.
Is it even close?
It's not even close.
It's a holding facility right now. Storage.
It's,
Yeah,
yeah,
historical storage.
can we just
That's what I'm.
do something, and this is like just to preserve the building, to make sure that, you know, it doesn't rot away, knowing that our goal is to have it to be used as a museum and working towards that ultimate goal, but there's fundraising that has to go with it. Our FY 25 capital outlay was for $45,000, our request
Right.
for architectural planning and designing. In reality, is that going to pass the muster with the finance committee and the capital outlay committee, given all the other financial things that are going on
Yeah.
Currently, yeah.
currently with that? So,
And then, but with that, would the library be, would the Carnegie building be the year after that, right? So it's not like it'd be at the same time per se.
the Smith Memorial Hall will be done,
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that's not,
you
yeah.
know, and so that's rehab, you know, that's done. So then you have the other, you know, Carnegie, the segregated schoolhouse, and the North Dayton, you know, fire station. Any, like the fire department could also put into CPC for funding, because that is a historic
That's true.
building.
Right.
That's true.
You know, we saw what the town put in for funding to CPC to do the Smith Memorial Hall for the HVAC, you know. We supported that, but that wasn't our, you know, our request.
I mean, does it you or anyone have any good contacts with Hornbein to see, we're probably going back a bit, but like what they did when they felt like they wanted to get that process started on their
I
end?
have some information I can dig out on that when they started that, I believe they're our separate friends group, because they're fundraising. And it's,
Solely?
yeah, they're
For the
doing a
Hornbein
tea.
School, yeah.
Yeah, they're doing a tea, and it's going, to the town hall, to their gift account, to the Hornbein School account.
And do we know, like, I mean, I don't, I know the history of the building, but like, would they ever at a similar point to we are with that building?
Yeah, way back when.
And so, I mean, I obviously, if it was that long ago, is the comparison even the same at that point in terms of what, like, back then, we only needed XYZ to get started, but in today's time, you guys need twice that, like, I don't know.
See, like, they actually have an outhouse. that was
Right,
grandfathered in.
that's right.
They are not, it's not handicapped accessible,
No,
No,
No, they aren't.
so I don't know,
right, so there's so many things that have changed since then.
right.
Nobody has pushed them to make it handicap accessible.
well, they will, so you get the ADA, person who's very, like to see everything done in code, so if we try to get that building up, that's the first thing they're gonna go
Oh,
after.
yeah.
Same thing with the
For
library.
us, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Which is
talking about
a good thing, but it's gonna,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we know that for us, but like for Hornbein, like, I mean,
I don't know,
What-
I don't know how they're.
going around it.
Yeah.
do we have a contact person for them?
Yeah, and I talked to, what was her name, Kathy Potter, and I have some information that she sent me, I can get that and, I can share it with everyone.
When I looked at that like 6 months ago, I went to the outhouse just to see what it's like. When I opened up, they had like the battery lights in there, they had toilet paper in there. I said, I looked down, I said, my wife goes, why? I goes, I think they're using this, are they?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's their
Okay.
bathroom,
That's their
when children
bathroom,
come on tours.
yeah,
or staff or anything that's, or not staff, or whatever, volunteers.
And that's legal and everything, town, okay, they're trying to keep that
Yeah.
historical with everything. What's
Historical.
Well,
It is well kept though, it's a beautiful building.
it is.
They do a good job with the kids and stuff
They
like
do.
that too, yeah. I don't
The
mind.
thing is, do we have enough of a draw here with ours to do something similar?
well.
I don't know the answer to that, but
Ours has a lot of issues with it
to even get there,
to get
Lead
there.
paint.
to even get there, to even consider it.
Supposedly there's lead paint still in there.
Honestly, that's,
It needs an HVAC system, it needs bathrooms, painting, ADA accessibility, parking is a huge concern.
I think the Carnegie building is even, I know it's farther away time-wise, but it's almost like that's gonna require less work. I don't want to make it sound like I don't want to do hard work. I mean, like, work to the building in order to be usable. It sounds like that's our best chance. Even though we make the wait
It
until
just needs to remodel what the exterior.
They need,
Egress?
A second egress.
second egress,
and
I'm
a
right.
bathroom,
The bathroom.
because they
Okay.
had, literally, their bathroom was in a closet.
It was the size of like,
When you say
That's
water
nice.
closet, that was.
That's it. You back in and sit down.
that's big,
How much would
yeah.
that cost, you think?
I have no
To
idea.
remodel your bathroom.
I have no
And then you got a thing called what, prevailing wage, where you have to pay top dollar for these guys,
Yeah.
yeah?
Oh, union.
And that was one of the problems when segregated schoolhouse went to the town meeting in 2018, we decided it was, yeah. That as soon as they got all the bids and everything, it had to go to prevailing wage,
Okay.
because it was a town project, so it becomes much more expensive.
As of right now, what happens to the current, so let's say tomorrow, officially Smith Hall is the library. What happens next as of right now to the current building?
It would be emptied and reverted to the town.
And do we know what the town would do next? Not that we can guess, I'm just kind of curious, as to like,
Talk is that it had some offices,
That's the first thing they're looking at, office space.
and
Yes.
I keep saying, and we will have a space there, the historical commission.
It will be ours.
as we should, just saying.
It should.
I think it should go to the historical.
When you think about downstairs, the offices that when they redid this building, I'm not saying they got their offices out of it that way, but what I'm saying is that like, I think, almost like it's our turn now, so to speak,
And yeah,
is
and
how I feel.
it probably would have to be a shared space because we're not there all the time.
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
Someone that's in the office that's there, the 4 days a week that the town halls, the town buildings are open.
It's
Don't
me,
work.
then I can
Yeah, she's good
share.
at space.
I'm running out of space too.
So what,
You're running out of space.
I don't know if Somerset does, but so Rehoboth has technically two different town government locations. One's like off of Peck Street and one is on Anawan Street. Like two different buildings, like whenever you go like all over the town offices, two things come up. And the one on, I think it's off of Peck Street, where the baseball fields are, that's where animal control is. I think there might be something else there. With the, not that it's that much of a distance, but when you consider how much the town hall currently has, how many offices would be looking to move over there? And like, people that are here downstairs just gotta walk over. In the sense, and it's close enough for people who are coming to visit for wherever they need.
Right.
What offices or departments do you think are looking to go to that building?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Everyone's got their space,
That's what I was thinking when you said that, I'm like who?
but it's crowded, and we don't have space and, like our file cabinet is in the stairwell, we have our
That's a
space.
firehouse right there.
So, but
Do you think that building's the first priority?
the way that I look at it is, the priority first, like if we're looking at our funding source, which is CPC for historical, rehab kinds of things. Our historical documentation is finishing up the Smith Memorial Hall absolutely first, because that started.
Mhm.
Second, I think the Carnegie Building,
That's what I feel. So.
because if we're gonna go for funding for anything, or funding is going to be used for that, it's the second most viable space that is gonna be empty. Yes, it should be preserved. Yes, the town should hold on to that building because of the historical value.
Mhm.
Every now and then, there are rumors that people would like to see it being sold.
What is the legality though of it being a Carnegie library as to,
I don't think there is.
can the town officially sell it?
Yeah, Carnegie has
They
nothing to
can.
do with it's just the name and the funding for back when it was built.
And I think that holds, I think we actually discussed that holds some weight as to it becoming historically relevant in terms of hopefully eventually being registered. Even if history played no part, it was just the architectural aspects alone, I think enough qualify it. So I think when you consider what the priorities are, and I think use is gonna be a big thing. They're gonna say, okay, sure, funding, what are you gonna do with it? I feel like as much as it would be great to do something with this area schoolhouse, they say, okay, great, you have money for this area schoolhouse, what are you gonna do with it? Well,
And
the
that's-
museum, I think if you see the Carnegie Building and its use, and if the potential is there to have more reuse, I think we'll get more support from the powers that be, whoever that may be when that time comes, for the Carnegie Building versus this area schoolhouse.
And I think also from the public too.
That's, when I said powers that be, I think that's one of the big ones I was thinking about.
So
was the-
then you get to,
public.
so we say Smith Memorial Hall, Carnegie Building, segregated schoolhouse, and I know the North Dayton Fire Department needs, some work too. The segregated schoolhouse is still a town building, still should have maintenance work done to it, I guess. But we don't know, so that it doesn't just rot away. So have it looked at structurally to make sure that we know it needs a coat of paint. The roof, I think, is okay. Remember when we looked at?
Yeah, the roof looked in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
That would have been huge.
It seems,
I think there was a window inside, it had correct me if I'm wrong, had a crack, it was open a little bit.
yeah.
I don't know, I know we talked about it, but then again, with all this rain and that going in there, it's not helping that old
Right.
way.
And I think too, like, in terms of like ranking things, the fire station as of right now, obviously, is still gonna be used as a fire station.
Yeah.
It's not, it's like, oh, well, they're moving out and now what happens? I know there are probably wishes that happen to the fire department and the buildings in town, but it's not like tomorrow tomorrow that building's coming down, or tomorrow they're leaving and then what? I think as of right now, it's gonna continue to be used as one. That do we necessarily need to fight for it to be saved?
Mhm.
I'm not saying no, but if we are ranking things, I don't think that would be above the segregated schoolhouse personally. Because,
Okay.
because because it still is going to be continued to be used the way it's going to be used, as opposed to segregated it, and eventually the Carnegie building where it's like, oh, now what? I don't know. At least the fire station's like, well, no, it's still gonna be a fire
Yeah,
station.
and if there's needs for repairs, the department itself.
That's what I was thinking
Yeah.
too, is that like they have funding.
Yes.
That's kind of what most of
stations.
our tax dollars go for, and go for that, as opposed to, not saying they don't go for other circle commission stuff, but like, they don't need our help, is kind of how I don't want it to sound.
Because
sound,
on
but
the North Dayton Fire Station too, they put on that added building to
You're
right.
expand.
Right.
And I think they've done some work to the older side too.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Many, many. There's 7 people sitting in this room. We don't own those buildings. And
No.
should the town decide, and I'm not saying that they're talking about this, but should the town decide we're gonna sell the property on Main Street, I don't think we hold a lot of weight with
No.
that. It's not our decision to make.
Right.
They're all town buildings that we're talking about. And the town has a line item somewhere for building, when you talk to, they belong to the town. There has to be a maintenance line in their
You would
budget.
think so. I mean,
Oh,
there
okay,
is,
so
I would assume so.
I don't understand the point of this conversation because it's not gonna
I
matter.
think it's.
You know what I'm saying?
I think for maintenance, yes, I understand what you're saying. I think for use and rehabilitation, we do have input into that. Not necessarily use, if they decide whatever offices are going there and we still have our file cabinet in the stairwell, then we do. I'm looking at it more as preservation and rehabilitation for use, what are the priorities that would happen, I think the Carnegie building for use, like to rehab, that has a priority, in my opinion, over the segregated schoolhouse for use. So if I was going to advocate and support something, I would support a rehab plan for that. The maintenance, they should have a town line where the maintenance of the buildings are taken care of. And we know that needs maintenance, and perhaps we have to push for that a little more.
But you're saying maintenance is different than preservation,
Yeah.
and we can.
What
make a
I
plan
don't
on
want to
that.
see is through lack of effort, because we could also say, I thought of this too, instead of going for $45,000 for an architectural plan design, say, for the segregated schoolhouse, if it needs $3,000 worth of work for preservation, that funding could come through CPC. We could approach CPC for it, to advocate for that.
Got a question about the schoolhouse. Is there any way they can put plastic up on those windows for now until we,
At least for now, kind of thing.
well, to keep the rain now until we address the problem? Because if we let it go the way it is now, because now I'm starting to think about that crack and all this rain we had, it probably didn't help that building at all. And it doesn't cost too much for those guys to, put something up with plastic, strap it to the outside. Make it nice looking, but at least have it up there. At least to the broken windows.
But I think more to her point though, like what role do we play and why, or not why bother, what do we have to do with it kind of thing? A good example, I think, is when Jim came before us regarding the columns for this Memorial Hall, and it's like, what should we do with them? I think that I commend him for doing that, because I'm not saying he didn't have to, but I mean the fact that he recognized the historical commission plays a role in this. So, along with what you're saying, I think it's good for us to where we're gonna focus our efforts on. So when things like that come up, how as a board do we stand, where do we feel like we should be focusing what and where our efforts on?
And yes, they are town buildings, but they are also historic buildings to the town. And our role is to advocate for their preservation, for their maintenance, for their rehabilitation, so that they remain historic, viable historic monuments or
Right,
resources.
so as you said, what weight do we have? That's certainly a good question, but also our job is to advocate for it. we could lose. And then, so be it, we did our job advocating for it. But if we don't advocate for it, then what are we doing?
Right.
So it's like, yeah, right, no one's saying that, oh, they'll listen to us and we'll win no matter what.
No,
But then, of course, I mean, great, but I mean, it's also like, but if we don't advocate for it, I mean, that's kind of part of our mission statement is to do things like that.
Right.
I hope, that,
Do you know other committees who are applying for CPC money? Next year, for next year?
Not for the historic resources.
I mean, like-
There's the open trails,
Okay.
yeah,
they're putting one in.
they are.
I think that's the only one. so
That's the one I've
far.
heard of.
What about this for senior citizens as well,
There's a-
low income? Is that part of it?
That is, but I don't think they don't have an application or anything
Oh, good.
yet. Because, well, when you look at the CPC resources, there's the historic, the open space, the unrestricted, the housing. That's the categories.
Wasn't it on the bottom of your, right here?
Yeah, good part.
Well, that's where I
Open,
saw it.
open space, historic preservation, community housing.
Recreation. And then they had unrestricted funding, funds too.
Oh, this one's right.
Cheryl, do you have any thoughts?
Nope.
That was a long sigh, so I was like, here we go.
She just wants her personal space. Nope. She just wants more space, that's all.
So Pat, with the Carnegie Building, it is a year away, what can we do to prepare for it? I mean, they get everything in place, so when we do try to. Now, if we do apply for a grant, does that have to go in front of the town again, saying, we're wishing to take so much money out to?
For the CPC, yeah.
Yes, you
Okay, so they can tell us right away, like how they feel, like, yeah, we're for it, or no, we don't want the building to sell.
Yeah.
But I mean, to answer this question, I think based on what I remember us looking at before, it almost like we really can't do anything until it's not being used, what's being used.
Right, we got another
We
year,
almost can't do literally, and I remember we talked about, we're like, we kind of have to. do it.
so we
may not
can't
want to.
plan anything for it, we just have to wait until that.
Even grant writing, I think we've been talking about like we could, but like we apply for a grant, we couldn't do anything with it anyway,
Right.
even stuff like we could really talk about it, but I mean, we couldn't formally do anything with it.
So no sense
And I
doing any
think
work
that
on it.
as far as we go as the historical commission, it is our role with that building to advocate again, like with the Smith Memorial Hall, that we support it as a local resource, that things that are done to it do not ruin the integrity, the historical
Definitely.
integrity of it.
Right,
Yeah.
that's true.
I mean, with Smith Memorial Hall, we were so lucky that the consideration was for vinyl siding to go on it, and then the red shingles came in at a very good price to put on it, and I kept saying, you can't put vinyl on that building, you can't, but then it becomes a cost factor,
Mhm.
And the shingles came at a good price, we have the shingles, kept that integrity of the building, the way that it looks. So, that's great. So
Yeah,
I think when we're looking at the Carnegie Building, it's like, it can be repurposed, but we want to make sure whatever makes it a Carnegie Building.
is maintained,
Is
is
maintained.
Right, yeah.
Because I remember like a long time ago, this was back like 10+ years ago, when the plan was to renovate that for the new library. I remember seeing, I was young, but I remember seeing the plans, and it was like the new fancy, like built around the facade of the building. And I know there's probably, at that point, too much would have been done to make that
Right.
naturally historic, but at least they kept the facade at least. So it's almost like that's where we would almost come into play, more like, okay, wait, what are you doing to make sure that you're not doing too much that's
Right.
of a change?
And I know when they did the, 3 years ago, when they did the 5-year capital plan with the capital outlay committee, we put in our 5-year things. We didn't do last year, FY '24, we were gonna do another survey and planning grant, but we were just have so much information, it was just to do another $25,000 grant. So we didn't do that, and then this year is for the segregated schoolhouse and for FY '26 is for another survey and planning grant, which we can revisit too. When we did the FY '25 one for the Segregated Schoolhouse at $45,000, I'm sure that is like way beyond that at this point in time.
Oh, yeah.
We also, Smith Memorial Hall and the Carnegie Building weren't even on the radar as far as being rehabbed or reused and preserved
At that time,
at that time
Yeah,
when we did
it's
that.
true.
That's how much things change,
right?
you know, so. You know, so that kind of like makes us relook at our priorities.
That's true.
And I think the driving force for the segregated schoolhouse almost has to come from a friends of the segregated schoolhouse to be the fundraiser, the vehicle to help get it going, because then that, it's not, because we can't fundraise. We're a town entity.
Right,
Mhm.
So
right.
you can't fundraise. They're the ones, because not only, if you're talking about it being a museum, you're talking about money, you're talking about volunteers to staff it. You're, you know, being open on whenever, you know, for schools and making it worth your while, so you have to have a backbone of people that are willing to put forth, besides the 7 of us.
Do you think that is there somewhere in the town? Because can we, I know as a board we can't, but can we even individually be part of the Friends, or would that be conflict of interest? Like, could any of us, I'm not, if all 7 of us do it, it's like, wait a second. But like, wouldn't any of us be allowed to?
You could probably have to check, but I think you could belong, but you couldn't take a,
Active.
a leadership role.
Yeah, you can do
Gotcha,
like the
okay.
president and vice president, yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
But you might have to sign like conflict of
Right.
interest and things like
Which
that.
that's where things get tricky.
Yeah.
So it's almost like at that point, why bother? Because at that point, it's almost like you'd be so cuffed as to what you can't do.
Yeah,
Then at that point, you're more of just a, yeah, I'm there, but, which is great, but it's also like, my purpose of being here, I can't do.
So Rafa, what are your thoughts?
Well, I told you there's already an existing Facebook page called Save the St. Francis School. We can just change that to Friends of the St. Francis.
But we can't,
Bring 'em
we
all over.
can't.
What? I
Yeah.
figured it.
Which is, what'd you
But you're
say?
on the board you're on the commission, you can't now.
Why not?
You can't, because you can't be, she's saying you can't be a part of a friends group for that, right? As a driving force of.
Okay, so we need to find somebody who's not in the commission.
Well, that's what I was asking,
Yeah.
like, do we know of enough people who would take an interest in this? I don't know.
Maybe Brand Citroni.
Maybe.
Yeah, he's very.
That's a good start. That's a good start.
A lot on.
He does, he goes a lot
Back in
of,
the day,
yeah,
Dayton.
that's actually a really good
Yeah,
potential contact. Or at least start of a,
Or do they have to live in Dayton? They don't have to live in Dayton to start.
No.
To
no,
start.
no, I don't think so.
Or
It's like Friends of the Library, doesn't necessarily have to be in the town.
most times.
Most times, yeah, but you don't even have to.
What's your opinion on the priorities?
I think priority is definitely the oldest. That would go with the schoolhouse.
Over the Carnegie Building?
Carnegie Building it's pretty much like, has a good structure. And, you know.
But it can be used
It
as
can be used-
well.
It can be used now.
Right.
So that's, I mean, the Carnegie
Yeah.
can be used now. But the schoolhouse has been in conversation for like, what, decades now? Since 1990. I was reading an old article, Taunton Daily Gazette, where Elaine Varley was interviewed by the editor. And then, and look at the date, my God, how old is this article? December 15, 1999. And at that time, they were only talking about preserving
Wow.
the schoolhouse.
Again.
So it's been going on for
But I mean, I agree, in terms of need, I think the Sargent Schoolhouse comes first. In terms of realistic potential as to like where it's gonna be most utilized, I think Carnegie.
Mhm.
I think need, though, I agree with you, I think the Sargent definitely, without a doubt, needs more attention in TLC, to put it very, very mildly. I think definitely the priority for that sense, but in terms of realistically, where our efforts be most helpful, I would think the Carnegie Building. But
the Carnegie is already sort of like part of the Smith Memorial Hall. It could be an annex of Smith, the Carnegie.
Oh, then,
So
yeah.
whenever Carnegie needs money, they can always go through Smith. Always apply, CPC money funding for Smith, which to be applied for Carnegie, if Carnegie becomes an annex of Smith.
Oh, I don't think that's.
No,
They won't need it anymore.
They won't. they're
But
talking that
anything
they're not
can
gonna be using
Yeah.
that as a library.
What
This
was
was talked, that was like months ago.
No,
Things
they
happen.
probably
Things
won't,
change.
they won't have to because the layout for the Smith Memorial Hall has room for about 16% growth of books. So they're, and that's with
Wow.
all of the books that they have
Mhm.
and adding new books.
I never heard of that. That's great.
Okay, then it could be an annex / museum.
And the other thing I heard was,
Instead of using the library as a storage library, just for the library.
only 2 people can be in that building at once. I don't know how true that is, because.
As of right now.
Yeah,
Carnegie?
Why?
No, I don't think so. There was a Jocelyn, the last time I visited, it was like 2 years ago, it was Jocelyn.
I thought they had only,
See, what happened with the library was that library had been too small since
right,
like the 50s, I think.
Yeah.
Even before that. And again, no one, it existed as a library and it was there and then, oh, I think it was, when did I get involved? Like 1990 or so, started, for efforts for a new library, addition, a new library, and it just kept, getting shut down.
Mm.
So that was the existing library and the fire and the health kind of looked the other way because of the lack of egress and
That's what I
the
heard.
lack of square footage, knowing that it was the only functioning library that we had. So when COVID came and they shut down and had to close,
That was a good excuse to put the squash on it.
right, in good faith, they couldn't reopen and not meet some of the guidelines. and meet the
Right.
guidelines.
Understandable at that point.
So that's what happened with the building. The building has been too small for the library for 50+
And now
years.
it's definitely too small, legally too small now,
Right.
yeah.
So when they went in, it did limit the number of people that could be in there. It was during COVID where they were saying that only 2.
that's where it came from, okay, I thought it was
Yeah.
more.
The way any store did,
Yeah.
restaurants have that where it's like, okay, I normally can see, the restaurants were at 20% capacity on a Friday night because of the
Right.
number of people that were allowed to be in there until they relieved all those limits, but.
Yes, to be compliant with 6-foot social distancing.
Right,
I mean, there probably is still some sort of number of capacity for the building anyway, if there was any building,
Right.
anywhere, but.
I did hear about the safety issues with the exit doors too, because I finally had to bring it up to the, to the front and say, we gotta deal with this.
As of right now, the only one that you guys is the overhead door in the back, right?
the front door?
That you guys.
Is there one there on the solid too? the
I
basement?
thought,
No,
No.
I thought there was, I remember that when I was little doing things in the backyard. Oh, there was, okay.
there was the
Yeah,
bulkhead.
that's what I was talking about, overhead door,
And
that's what I was
they had
talking
a
about.
door that opened, that went out through the bulkhead.
Yeah.
Which isn't really a,
That's.
Oh, I know it's not,
Yeah.
but is that even still there physically? That,
I have no
Um,
idea.
I remember when I was little, like I'm talking about when I was in elementary school, when there were things going on in the backyard where they would have some musician come and play. I remember going in and out of that door,
Right,
but that's back when things were different and things were
Right.
allowed, probably shouldn't have been
Right.
allowed, not by the town, but like laws were not as strict.
he remembers, he doesn't have our memory of
No.
that library.
No.
I was waiting for you to say, when we were little, you're not saying it. Okay, I'm not gonna say it either.
When we were little, the children's area was right behind the librarian's desk that was in front of the door.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you really wanna
Somebody
go,
going in there.
Berkeley's library is like kind of a sister to this one.
Oh, you're right.
The adult side was on this side. If you're looking at the front of it, the adult side was to the left, the children's side was to the right. And then they ended up going down, but they had a bigger egress door than they had
Oh.
blocked under, because they had like the stairs, and then there was like stairs going down under.
Oh,
They
To the
had-
adult group.
they don't.
No, children are now down in the basement, but that took a long time because the town clerk was downstairs in that basement.
Wow.
And I hate to tell you. Yes.
They got a new building now.
Yeah, that's the Berkeley's town offices. That's a beautiful building. That's it.
That's not the library. The library is still where it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it a Carnegie building?
Yes, it is. I was on that board for 20 some odd years as a trustee.
Should take a look at it.
Mm,
And I don't know what they've done to it since I left.
Right.
It's been a
Right.
long time.
I think it's important, with the segregated schoolhouse, that we advocate for the maintenance of it. Because we can't let it
Rot.
Yeah,
rot.
right away.
And that's kind of where your point is coming to, like, at least something on the windows to preserve some,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, they can't fix the windows, so they'll get plastic.
If that's gonna be the only thing that leads to something, before something is too little too late.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did talk with June Aguirre and, you know, sort of perhaps get a third person evaluation, you know, to say just what are the needs in that building for maintenance, knowing that we want, the long-term goal is to preserve it and rehab it into a one-room schoolhouse. But if it's rotting, we can't do that.
No,
Did he give you any details as to how to go about getting a third person and what that cost would be, or?
And he would get some contacts.
Oh, okay.
That falls in his domain.
Is there any way for someone just maybe go inside and see if it's still dry from all the rain and everything? It should be.
Yeah, how would one even go in there? Whether you're,
One gets the key.
is it easy to just go into town hall and just ask them for the key and they'll give it to you?
If you're on the commission.
Well, yeah, I didn't think if anyone could, but I didn't realize it was easy.
We can, I know we've been in,
I've never been in.
you've never been in, you've never
No.
been in.
Be nice to do another tour of that.
We can make a tour of that one day.
What's it?
It's creepy.
I think so.
Just go to the bathroom before the tour.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Because there's no bathroom, right?
Because there's no
There's
bathroom.
a hole in there, that's about
We have
it.
a fireplace too.
No outhouse, no in-house.
If you want to do that, depending on how many want to go, we can post it as a meeting. Let's pick a date.
I think that's what we did last.
Especially when it's nice to just walk across the street, literally.
Yeah,
I mean, we're getting there. Hypothetically, we're warm enough to do it. That's why they keep saying the way it has been.
I think they pull the meter out of that, am I right? They pull the meter too? Okay, so there's no electric or nothing over there right now.
Yeah.
no. You want to pick a date to go look at it?
After April 6th.
After April. Oh, okay.
Yeah, after
I
that.
gotcha.
Wow, what's that?
Which means April 7th.
I said that because I wanted to see that reaction.
Okay.
Are you sound busy until then? Probably. A little bit.
April 7th.
That's why I was like, nope.
I'm sure.
Yeah, because April 6th.
Oh,
is
Saturday.
Saturday. Okay. I think it's good to discuss these things.
Yeah.
You know?
It's our job.
I think we're mostly in agreement.
Mhm.
Town maintenance line, right, Pat?
Protect what we have for now.
So, okay, we'll just keep revisiting it and remembering what our role is.
And I think she makes a good point, that like, it's there, but is anyone advocating for its use? Like, no one's saying it doesn't exist and we need to make it exist. It may exist, but who is following up with it? That might be where we come into play.
Right. Right.
But because she's right, I would hope that there's a line item for that kind of stuff. It has to be.
There is a
There is
building
something.
maintenance line item, and of course, like everything else,
Might not be much,
it
but
might not be much. And I do think they were looking to increase it for FY 25. Should pay attention to that one. We should pay attention to that line item,
mhm.
so. I'll look it up. So, there's no public input because we're all here.
I'll be quiet.
These are the meetings I enjoy, it's quiet.
Okay, report on the DCR meeting, for the rail trail. Rafa and I met with representatives from DCR. the Sweet Knolls, the state park person, I can't remember any of their names.
Simon Schreier,
Simon.
the other two are Christine something, and whatever. the two other women.
Sue.
One from the Taunton
Taunton River Watershed
Watershed
Alliance.
Alliance.
Not Susu, she came. Susu.
She was there. Oh, Sue, her last name was Schooner.
Something.
Yeah.
But all I remember is like, because it was.
That's like a doctor. That's not like a doctor.
Something.
It's like a Dr. Seuss book. What?
Simon is the only one who was Simon Schreier.
Yeah.
He was the leader.
So we
And the
walked,
turtle,
Terry,
the turtle's name,
Tess,
Tess, Miss Tessie,
Miss Tess.
Turtle?
Miss Tess. They have a turtle in an aquarium.
Okay.
At the
In the
DCR
house.
building.
In the house, it's one of their,
It's like a snap turtle.
it's not a snapping
Was it-
turtle, it's a terrapin. It's the terrapins that are along the river.
So if you put your finger in the glass, it tries to follow you,
And the turtle's
and then
name
like open its
is,
mouth and try to bite
Miss
you.
Tess.
Miss
so
Tess.
you know the turtle's name, but you don't know the name of the humans that will be
It's like the next one.
Susu, remember? Susu.
That is the quote, okay, remember the turtle's name?
Yes, yeah.
That you
Will
remember.
not appear in those minutes, I doubt it.
Because he was so good. And that you knew.
Yeah.
It's like that YouTube video, I like turtles. Remember that kid? I like turtles.
So, anyway.
Is that the same thing as the board? I remember hearing someone talking about a boardwalk that was being worked on. Is that the same thing as a rail trail?
This is part of the rail trail.
Oh,
So
okay.
actually, it's just the Sweet Knolls part of the project
Oh,
that
okay.
we're talking about. And there is the railroad that goes through there. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
will be like a part of the trail that's gonna start, Sandpiper Lane
Yeah.
down to, and back in 1712.
Right.
So in dealing with just the Sweet Knolls property, we walked down to the wharf, the Thomas Church Wharf, looked at that, talked about that a little bit. Talked about the river, the history of the river. It's a beautiful spot. It's just real pretty.
It is.
Then we walked through the bud and the muck to the railroad bridge that's in back of Gardner's Tire, the
Mhm.
trestle there. We did not cross it because I said I went up because there's no handrails or anything. So we took a look at all around there, and you can actually see from there, you can look through and you can see Dayton's old cemetery that's on Elm Street on the
Oh,
hill. I never realized you could see it from
Wow.
there. So then we walked back through the mud to Sweet Knolls, to the house, to their headquarters there. And Simon gave an overview of interpretive signage and how to develop it. So taking input from all of the groups from DCR, from the state park, and from the Taunton River Watershed Alliance people, blending in us, the historic, having historic knowledge about that area, and ask what kind of interpretive signing will come together to tell the story of that area and why it's important. So it's a kind of will be like a blending of historic facts, the nature facts, and why it's important. It was interesting. So we will be meeting with them again to continue developing that kind of signage for them. So it's exciting.
Yeah. I remember seeing like the concept, like the PDF of the presentation about the rail trail like a while, about a year ago. What has been done to get started on that? Has anything been started on?
It's still all in permitting.
It's
and
all still
that.
green.
Yeah. They can develop in there, and they did, they must have some permits that they have to pull too, I think. I'm not sure what stage that's at. So, CPC will meet on March 20th, next Wednesday. So the library building committee met yesterday And we reviewed a rough draft of the layout plans for the library on paper. And these are gonna be submitted to the engineering company, MMT, for design drafts, plans. So that they will be, you know, to scope and all of that stuff, specs and, you know, all of that. And then we reviewed the list of fixtures and furniture that the library will need. So what Mark did is he just made a grand list of everything that each area will need. And some of the stuff we have and some of the stuff will have to be ordered. And they'll use the $87,000 from the state to do that.
Okay.
And will that figure be, like, how, would that be a good enough figure to get started at least?
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah. Then the America's 250th Anniversary Committee met on March 1st, 4th, and I'm the chair. And Verna Santos is the vice chair, and Robin McCoy is the clerk. So we brainstormed about how Dayton's 250th anniversary celebration and events would look, how it would evolve, just a lot of general brainstorming, making lists of things and ideas dealing with the revolution in Dayton. So we're going to be establishing a goal with some timelines and some objectives for that. And we started brainstorming other organizations to include, so it's kind of like the nucleus will be that committee, and then we'll spider web out to make contacts to other, groups, so that more and more people can be involved.
How do you feel like it went?
It went well. People have some good ideas. We talked about things like the reading of the Declaration of Independence, doing another reenactment involving the schools.
That's gonna be huge, because the kids are gonna be talking about that. That's gonna be huge.
Involving the veterans, just all kinds of, of the groups and how they would be involved. Actually, we're making a timeline and working backwards.
Oh, okay.
Because your goal is July 4th.
We know when that is,
26th.
yeah.
And then, so like you're gonna be there, what do you wanna happen there? If you wanna start having, say like dignitaries come, you're gonna have to start inviting them pretty soon because they're gonna be invited to everything. So you have to start doing some goals. And Dayton, even though we didn't have any battles here, we had, people that went to fighting battles.
And with all the town, never mind Lexington and Concord, there are two towns that are gonna be on their radar more so than ours.
Yeah,
So it's good to get those people on,
Right.
That's good to get us on their radar before, because I'm not saying they're not gonna pay attention to those towns, because they're going to, as they should, understandably so, but there's gonna be competition for their.
Where Dayton is.
Where?
Where is Dayton?
And there's a book that in 1962, the Historical Commission worked on, Lives and Fortunes, and it's the listing of all the American Revolutionary soldiers, from Dayton and what companies they served in. I think there's like 320 men that served.
Are there people living in Dayton who are obviously distantly related to anybody who would have been?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, they don't go far, yeah. Yeah, there are.
That's cool.
Is there any other business? I didn't have any correspondence either, so besides email with the bill. All right,
Terry,
this-
I'm sorry, I can't do that. I can't do it.
our next meeting is April 9th at 6 p.m. after April 6th.
I looked fast and thought that said a 6, and I was like,
As soon as you said the night, I was like, okay, I can come.
3 days.
All right, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I second that.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one? And that's it.
All right.
I will-
This is recording the top left.
No, now we're gonna get there.